Good afternoon, everyone, from the Dubliners live in Dubai. Today, no needs introduction. Try that again. Today needs no introduction on the football calendar. It's Everton versus Arsenal first up, or as we like to call it, the Kevin Campbell derby. More importantly, it is the birthday of Super Kevin Campbell. Welcome to Soccer Saturday with us at Hollywood Balls. Welcome to a birthday edition of Soccer Saturday presented by the Dubliners. Today's episode is powered by the First Football Community, DAO. It's the lads and lasses from Board 8 Football Club. They're here to support grassroots football in the UK. Plenty of introductions to get through today. Joining me on the soccer sofa is former Sunderland player, now Dubai legend, Gareth Mordey. Joining us in the studio is former Sunderland player and now media broadcaster for the Premier League, Keiron Brady. So, lads and lasses, never let it be said I'm biased towards Newcastle United. I'm surrounded by red and white royalty today. So it's a big welcome to everyone. Kev, how are you?
Excellent, thanks, Pete. Excellent. I'm on a roller coaster today, Pete, yet again.
It's the Kevin Campbell derby. We're going to get onto that in a little bit. Brilliant stuff. Keiron, welcome to Hollywood Balls. You're causing quite the stir on social media. Lots of people asking me who the man in the cap is, and the figure at St James's Park. I can tell them it's you, isn't it?
It is, yes. And it's actually quite appropriate today that you're recording the show from the Dubliners when I came on actually looking like one of them. So I'm looking forward to it.
Brilliant stuff. Excellent. And of course, joining me on the sofa is Gareth Mordey. Gareth, welcome to Soccer Saturday, live from the Dubliners. It's great to have you with us. Now, before we get into what you're doing, we could probably fill a 4-hour show on that, by the way, Kev. I've known this guy for a long time. Busy doesn't cover it. Listen, just give us a brief, we said Sunderland, give us just a brief intro and a fascinating journey and the unfortunate start to your life in Dubai, but how it all came about.
Yeah, sure. I played football from a young age at school, signed for Sunderland when I was 14, I think, signed professional when I was 17. Got to that awful day where somebody said, you're not good enough, you need to move on, which was horrible. Loads of circumstances since then. Ended up in Dubai in 2005 coaching football, and then moved into general sports and then sports management. And then now I'm working in a really good education business that is global business, 104 schools, and my role is to put sports and enrichment academies into those schools. My 40th last week, so I'm not young anymore, apparently. So yeah, all good. Life's good, Dubai's good, and Dubai's been brilliant, and we're two custodians of that, aren't we?
We certainly are. We were just talking, Kev, off air, and Keiron, Gareth and I, we go way back. Rugby sevens, you name it, everything that went on in Dubai, we've been a part of, and it's great to have him here on the soccer. So we're going to find out a little bit more about what he's doing because it's an absolutely fascinating concept. But Kev, we'll start with you. It's the KC derby, a massive game for both clubs. And for anyone that doesn't get where I'm coming from with that, obviously, two clubs play today that are very dear to Kevin Campbell's heart. Just before we started, Keiron said to him, Kev, who you rooting for? So come on, Kev, who's going to win today?
I think Arsenal are going to win. I just think Arsenal are playing the better football. I'm pleased Sean Dyche has taken over at Everton because I think that's going to give them a foundation to build from. And with so many games, 18 games they've got, there's more than enough points for them to stay up. But I just think it's a bit too soon. Arsenal have been flying, especially away from home. Arsenal are solid. So I think Arsenal will win the game today, Pete.
And Kev, you're working it today, very similarly to Keiron in the media yourself, of course. You would be nailed on for that game today, but you're not doing that, are you?
Pete, these people are absolutely sick. They sicken me, Pete. Talk Sport have put me on Old Trafford in the enemy territory when the KC derby's going on at Goodison Park. I can't believe it, but
Someone go on.
I signed up for it, so I've got to do it. But I'll be watching.
And similarly, Keiron, you're a major figure out St James's Park. You'll be there later today, will you?
Yeah, I mean, whilst I appreciate Kevin's grievance, bear in mind that I, as a former Sunderland player, later on too. There's a scale to everything. But in saying that and putting flippancy aside, I've been doing this job for the Premier League now for over 5 years, and primarily it takes me to St James's Park, although I do go to league and clubs generally in the north, and welcoming the staff from the staff at St James's Park has been exceptional. I really couldn't tire of them, and I thoroughly enjoy going there on a regular basis. And of course, the difference over the months is very visible for all to see. And there's such a sense of anticipation and optimism about football, of course at Newcastle, but in the wider North East as well.
Yeah. Great. That's what I want to touch on as well, because as I say, I get hammered for being biased. Of course I'm biased, but I do have my Northeast top on today. So with that said, I was just talking to Gareth, and we're gonna have a chat about it now. Wembley aside for Newcastle, Borough going well, looking great under Carrick, but Sunderland going along nicely, still in the cup. They've got a replay to look forward to, and a big, huge game today at Millwall, who are their level pegging with.
Yeah, we're doing well. We're going well. I think if you'd asked the average supporter, I think staying up and competing would have been the goal this year. But we've seemed to have a lot of sort of alignment between the ownership, the supporter group, and the club now. Tony Mowbray coming in raised a few eyebrows, I guess, and loads of people still say the jury's still out, but he's done a cracking job. And to watching them, and I watch them every week online, but I go home quite a lot and see them as well. To see these young, hungry players who have all had good pedigree, all had good upbringings, whether that's at Man United, Celtic, Man City. We've got this group of players together. People like Diallo, Patrick Roberts, they're flying, and it's just such for a Sunderland supporter. It's great to see, and it's good. And I think long may it continue. I think there's a proper strategy in place, which will help. I don't think we've always had that. And I think all three clubs have that at the moment, especially our friends at St James's Park, who are doing really well. And that's,
set that through gritty.
and that's fine, and we want the North East to do well, of course, and that's the old rhetoric. But all clubs have got alignment, and they've got a base, and they've got a culture, and the supporters are talking to the management. The management's talking to supporters. The owners are now all central, and Mr. Gibson does a great job anyway. And they've got a great manager in Carrick and doing really well. We took them to the cleaners when we played against them the other week. I thought we did really well, but they're above us at the moment with 12 points, covers 3rd to 18th in that league.
Massive.
So it's a very, very tight league anyway. So that's where we are.
Good stuff. And Super Kev, you know what? Funnily enough, just 2 weeks ago, chatting with another friend of ours, Adrian Bevington, and it happened to be for the first time in a long time, Kev, we were looking at the results coming in with Uncle Jeff Stelling, and all the North East teams had won on a day. I mean, I don't really sort of recollect that, and it's happening on a regular basis up in the North East.
Pete, some would say it's happening too regular, if I'm honest with you. Because you know what? It's such a hotbed of football, the North East. Great clubs, big support. And you know what? It's good to see everybody having a plan, having a strategy, and winning games. Because you know what? That is one of the toughest places to go when you play against Middlesbrough, when you play against Sunderland, and then obviously now Newcastle are flying as well. Tough places to go when they've got all the fans behind them, and it hasn't always been that way.
Absolutely. Keiron, you as a player as well, I mean, absolute talisman at your time at Sunderland. I was reading up this week about you, and quite fascinating. Your first goal for Sunderland, I hope I've got this right, an overhead kick against West Ham.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be comparing it to any overhead kick you've seen, but it was obviously very important and very special for me. I was only 18 at the time, and it was compounded by the fact that the game that I played in was very entertaining for the supporters. We won 4-3, a couple of assists, a game that still seems to be very fondly remembered. So to that end, although my career was very brief, I was very fortunate in that I had several games that I still get spoken to about, you know, from supporters that have come into contact. It was an overhead kick. Yeah.
Brilliant, happy memories. And that time, Sunderland were going a lot. They were known for cup runs as well, weren't they? I mean, it was a decent time. And like the North East, although they were never firing, Keiron, you looked at Newcastle and Sunderland and Borough at the time, and although they flattered to deceive a little bit in their positions, they always had great players.
Yeah, they certainly did, but I think just really to expand upon what Kevin moments ago, it has been a region of serial underachievement. When you consider the potential of, and you consider that there have been fleeting cup final appearances without any meaningful success to follow, then it's very important to look back on the time that I've been in this part of the world and to think that there hasn't been any significant success, certainly for Tyneside or Wearside. Obviously, Middlesbrough in the League Cup back in, I think it was 2004, 2005. But obviously, Newcastle now do that in several weeks. They will go into the game with a lot of optimism based on their form throughout the course of the season. But for Sunderland, I think it's much more relative. You have to consider where they've been. And I think, as Gareth touched upon, it's a club now that seems to have a developing identity. There's certainly an ethos of sorts around the recruitment and retention of younger players. And the hope, of course, is that as much as this season might be construed as a free hit of sorts, given the 4 seasons in League One, there's certainly signs and grounds for optimism about ahead. And for many Sunderland supporters, that's enough at this moment in time, because they've been fed this endless period of mediocrity at best. And now there seems to be something. There is significant grounds for optimism prosperity.
It's a familiar story all round, really, in the North East. Good stuff. Kev, as you say to me quite rightly, looking at the weekend ahead, I always say to you, it's a big weekend, and you tell me, Pete, it's a big weekend every weekend. So will you be looking to your good friends Spurs for a favour this weekend?
Oh, God. Pete, tomorrow that's me on the roller coaster yet again. Listen, I don't want any favours from them, but they need to do themselves a favour, which...
Okay.
Them doing themselves a favour, which will have an impact on us. Listen, most importantly, the key is Arsenal going for the title. They have to do the business themselves. If Arsenal do the business, that puts pressure on Manchester City. And, you know, you leave it to Spurs to try and win their home game. It's going to be a tough game for City, going to be a tough game for Spurs. But I don't want no favours off them, Pete. None.
But beat Man City.
But beat Man City, please.
Yeah, exactly. Gareth knows.
Brilliant. Keiron, it's a, I could share the laughter. Then listen, we were laughing before saying that you're at St James's Park now, but it has people on social media thought they were wondering if you were part of Eddie Howe's backroom team, because whenever we see the TV, you've got this vantage point where it looks like you're right next to Eddie and Jason Tyndall.
Well, I think that the camera angle may at times allow for vision, but in reality, I'm always actually sat right next to the away team manager. And I really want to emphasise that point to many of my friends in Wearside, that if they're going to function, at least come to the conclusion that I'm a consultant for the away team, and that I'm not aiding in the city of Newcastle. But my job is really to work alongside the commentators for Premier League production because the games go live all around the world. And with being a player, you might have an insight and a more of an instinct into what might be happening, and of course it come from the technical area to the players. So it's a job or a role that wasn't around when I was playing, around that much when Kevin was playing. But obviously now in football, particularly with broadcasting and the Premier Global phenomenon, all manner of opportunities have arisen, and I was commended for the position a number of years ago, and it's something I've thoroughly enjoyed doing. I've got on well with the people that I'm working around, and they're all from different broadcasters in different parts of the world. So interesting insight. Football has evolved over the years, and I'm looking forward to the remainder of the season.
Great stuff. Got to say hi to Lee Cosgrove, big Manchester United fan. I texted him this week to say it's been a few years, but finally we'll get to rekindle our own personal rivalry, Man United and Newcastle. Great question for you, Keiron, from Lee. How well is Ahmad doing for Sunderland? He's been absolutely brilliant, hasn't he?
He has. I mean, I think it took many people by surprise, myself included, because I'd watched him in the second half of last season whilst he was on loan at Rangers to deceive. There was infrequent signs of promise, but since he's arrived, he has been exceptionally consistent. Not only has he entertained the supporters, but there's been a consistent end product, which is often what the difference is between the top class and world class players at various categories below that. So I don't think Manchester United could be any happier about how often he's playing and the standard of performance that he's producing. He is working up a wonderful double act, particularly with Patrick Roberts playing a lovely short passing intricate game. Important thing for anyone, certainly in an attacking sense, is that there's some sort of consistent end product.
Yeah,
producing that, and he'll be vitally important for the rest of the season.
Brilliant stuff. Listen, Gareth, I wanted to ask you, I did say he's the busiest person I know in Dubai, and this goes way back. So one of the reasons for inviting him today was to find out what he was up to. And beforehand, Gareth made a really good point. The new business, which he's going to just briefly tell us a little bit about what he's doing. You said to me something fascinating, that you went in looking at it as the setup of a football club. So tell us what you're doing, but tell us in equal measurement a story, Kev, that comes over more and more on this program where we're on every week. How education is as important here in the UAE as is sport.
Sure. Yeah. So my role at the moment, we've got 103. Some people will say 104 schools around the world and growing. We're 4 schools in Dubai at the moment. My role in large is to create out of classroom experiences, world-class opportunities for students through enrichment programs. We've started with football and swimming.
Yeah.
Some people say you start with the 2 easiest ones. Live in my shoes for the last year and it wasn't easy. But we've got 1,000 children going through that program at the moment. And it's about creating sort of holistic opportunities for students. So here, private education is rife and is big. It's very it's the only option really. And what we're trying to do is give the students and the schools a unique selling point to sort of keep our students in the schools for a longer time, attract new students to our schools and support our schools, giving these students the best opportunity they can to create sporting athletes. Now, the statistics are damning when it comes to, I want to be a professional, make my son a professional, make my daughter a gymnast. It's 0.000. Sure. So what's really important is that they get the in-class education, they get their exam results, they get their sort of holistic education, and then we give them sporting and enrichment opportunities on top of that. Cracking start, really happy, tell your face that, but very, very happy with what we've done so far. More to come. We will expand our school business, and in turn we'll expand our enrichment business with that as well.
Excellent, great opportunities, and so important for the people out in the UAE, because it is, Gareth hits the nail on the head, and I'm glad that you said that, and I'm sure it's the same globally. Make my son or daughter a star. can't always happen. So that education thing is absolutely key and huge as well. Okay, back over to the Premier League. Kev, we love a revenge mission on Hollywood Balls on Soccer Saturday. The old gold of Wolves, they'll be up for a revenge mission this weekend, won't they, against a less than impressive Liverpool side after that VAR incident?
Well, listen, the VAR fella had the Liverpool top on, didn't he? That should never have been given as a no-goal. But, you know, Liverpool knocked them out in the replay. So Wolves, they've played each other a few times now. Wolves are going to fancy their chances at home. Liverpool have been awful, let's be honest.
Yeah.
For Liverpool
by their own admission as well, Kev.
Sorry? By
their own admission and Klopp's admission as well.
Oh, listen, I don't listen to anything Klopp says, because you know what? I do it with my own eye test, Pete, because he will complain about the wind. He'll complain about the balls weren't right. He complains all the time, Jurgen Klopp.
Kevin never complains when he wins.
I've noticed that, Gareth. I have noticed that. So that's why I pay no attention to what Klopp says. I want Wolves to really go for it today. I'd love Wolves to beat them today. Really would.
Okay, coming to Keiron in a minute. Just before we do, Clark Francis, a staple of Dubai CF, wants to know, up the Borough, where does Gareth think the Borough will finish this season? Good question.
Yeah, hi, Clark. I just think it's so tight. It's just such an incredibly competitive league, like they all are. But if you look at the Championship and the divide of the top to the bottom is 10, 12, 15 points. I think the two of the tops ran away with it. Hecky's doing a cracking job at Sheffield United. I personally think massive success for Sunderland or Middlesbrough will be playoffs. But look at Middlesbrough 9 weeks ago; they were in the bottom five, I think, when he took over.
Yeah.
So Super Michael Carrick's doing a great job. Just for CF, we'll say they'll finish in the playoffs.
Okay, just for CF. Okay, Keiron, Sunderland got the Millwall a point behind them. A cracking game in store anyway. But knowing that a win could propel either of them into the playoff place, but how big a miss for Sunderland for today and for the rest of the season is Ross Stewart going to be?
Well, I certainly think it will be potentially significant. Could be determining whether Sunderland are able to make the leap into the playoff position. He's been such a focal point, talisman. He offers a lot more than many traditional 6-foot strikers do. I think he's very mobile. He's improved as a player. I think he's very motivated by self-development. And of course, as I was talking with regards to Ahmed Diallo, Ross Stewart has the statistics to back up all that I'm saying, because he's always in League One. Then, of course, there's concerns as to whether he can do it on a regular basis at a higher standard. I think he's acquitted himself exceptionally well, and he's bearing in mind that he's going to miss the remainder of the season, and he's already missed a large chunk of what's going before. So, and Sunderland might alter aspects of their approach as they get to the final third. There might have to be less, like aerial delivery, because they might not have someone as competent and as, comprehensive as Stewart has been. Tony Mowbray is very, very experienced, and I think one of the major attributes they have is the intricate play, and hopefully they can capitalise on that, because they have done that throughout the course of the season. Sunderland could have their own goal of the season within.
Yeah.
So that many goals for wonderful 1- and 2-touch play, something that many Sunderland fans, won't recall seeing in such a risk. So Stewart will be a miss. Corey Evans, for the job that he does, will be a miss, or has been a miss. Likewise, Luca 9, even been out for 1 or 2 games because he leads by example. And saying that, and I think, as Gareth was saying, this season does have the hallmarks of a three of sorts. Consolidating your champion status was all important. But I think now there would be keen expectation that they could at least start putting themselves into a position whereby they might even be one of the favourites for most season. But I think in order to do that, there's going to have to be consultation about their expenditure. Well, as they've done to date, it has largely been done in a very budget in terms of transfers and salaries, and so there's going to have to be some conversations at the high levels of the club about regard.
Okay, Kev, they're saying, Mike's saying it's a sellout game today, so it's going to be difficult for Sunderland. Sellout in Millwall means what? Means 6 helicopters, right?
Six helicopters, mate, and about 38 riot vans. Let me tell you, it is going to be some game, and I'm telling you, it's going to be a tough one for Sunderland. Sunderland have to turn up, because if they don't, Millwall will steamroller them. You know they're very strong at home. I think it's going to be a great game, though.
Looking forward to it. Kev, as well, staying with you. Speaking of staying at it, both on and off the pitch for Newcastle United today, they're the late game. You don't want a case of after the Lord Mayor's show, after all of the semi-final antics. So both the fans and the team at St James's have got to be at it today.
Yeah, I'm thinking, Eddie Howe might shuffle the pack a little bit, Pete, just to freshen it up a little bit. Because West Ham, that's what West Ham are going to be coming. They're hoping, a little bit of the celebrations from midweek seep into the lads' legs, and they're not as sharp as previous. And West Ham are desperate for the points, aren't they? They need the points to move themselves away from the bottom. But Newcastle at home right now, the fans will be up for it. It's going to be a real difficult game for West Ham.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to it all. Listen, two lads making their debut on Hollywood Balls today, Kev. And because you've got the gold Bentley coming to pick you up soon, we're going to bring it forward because we can't not have Gareth and Keiron Brady on.
Pete, don't you know? Del Boy's three-wheeler. That's what's coming to pick me up.
The TalkSport three-wheeler. Listen, we can't not have the boys on today and go head-to-head in predictions. And I get so much grief on Facebook as well off all my Sunderland supported friends telling me, when are you ever going to put Sunderland in the predictions? And I say, when they're in the Premier League. But today we'll make a special permission because of who the guests are. So predictions. We'll start with guests. We'll start on the soccer sofa here. First up, Gareth, Everton Arsenal.
1-1.
1-1. Keiron, give us a score.
Hey, don't bring him back!
Sorry, Kev.
Keiron, give us a score prediction for Everton Arsenal.
The communication, I think it will be 2-2.
Desmond, okay.
Desmond, gone for Desmond. I've gone for 2-0 Arsenal. I just don't think Everton have enough firepower.
I think Everton will score today, new manager and all that, and it'll be absolutely rocking. But I think Arsenal 2-1. Okay, next up. Look, can't wait for this. Newcastle United against West Ham.
2-1 Newcastle. The fans won't let them take the foot off the gas.
Yeah, good point. Keiron?
I think it'll be 2-0 Newcastle, but I have to predict, otherwise I have to go to work incognito.
I love it. Brilliant.
It's going to work with me incognito.
Yeah, incognito, yeah. Super Kev, what you got for us?
I've got the same as Gareth, 2-1. I've got Newcastle.
Okay, make that 3. I've got the same as well. Interesting.
This could be anything.
Yeah, interesting game coming up now. It could be anything, as Gareth quite rightly says. Forest Leeds.
Just for 3-3.
3-3. Keiron, Forest Leeds, what do you fancy? Forest Leeds, give us a score.
I think 4-1 Leeds.
Wow. Big score. Forest 1, Leeds 4. Super Kev?
I've got 2-1 Forest. Forest usually strong at home.
Yeah.
I've got 2-1. But
they
there's
can
going to
pick
be
on-
goals, that's for sure.
They can pick on any one of their new 2,147 signings this afternoon as well. I'm going to go Forest 1-0. Spurs Man City
3-1 City.
3-1 City. Keiron, Spurs Man City, give us a score.
2-0 Man City.
2-0 City. Super Kev.
I've got 3-2 City.
3-2 City. I've got 3-1 to City. Last up for the weekend. This one's for Barry Robson, for Graham. The jinx himself. Who get well soon, Graham. He's in hospital with kidney stones, I believe. So this one's for him. Hope you get better soon. Still hope you get turned over though. Millwall Sunderland.
Oh, 2-0 Sunderland.
2-0 to
Sunderland
Sunderland.
and Newcastle to win, right?
Yeah, Keiron, what you got for us?
A late Sunderland winner, 2-1.
A late Sunderland winner, Kev.
I've got it the other way. I've got Millwall just to pip Sunderland at home, 2-1.
Okay, I've got Millwall winning 2-1. I think Sunderland. I would have fancied them, but their main man being out today.
Trying to be cordial.
They're trying to be cordial, yeah. Gareth's taking Newcastle to it. I just can't see anything other than Millwall at home today, and purely because of what Keiron said as well, the rhetoric of the main man being out and maybe having to change their style.
It's been out before. He was out just before Christmas. He was out.
I'm still taking Millwall. Okay, listen, absolutely brilliant stuff. Keiron, I wanted to end and give you a special mention. There's a date in your life which I've got on here, which is very poignant to you. But you've helped so many people. So I wanted to end with your special story. Just tell us a little bit about the journey and how your words and words that are brilliant. They come over on your social media and your LinkedIn profile on how you help people who face addiction.
Well, I mean, primarily around the issue of alcoholism, because I myself am an alcoholic, and I thankfully have been sober now for almost 14 years, but I would not have been able to from alcoholism without the assistance and generosity of other alcoholics who themselves had went through that process, had recovered, and who extended the hand of friendship and solidarity like myself. And I was told that in order to secure and sustain long-term sobriety and the prospect of happiness and peace of mind, that would be very much contingent on my willingness and preparedness to go and other alcoholics to recover. And that's something I've been doing now for over a decade. It's something I enjoy. It's not something I endure in any way. And consequently, it's allowed me to career in that. And to that end, I don't see it in any way as a particular act of benevolence or generosity. There's a lot that's in it for me, hopefully giving many fathers and mothers what I am and who I am now, and I hope that I'll always be able to enjoy it and get the sense of self-worth and value from it in the same manner that I have over the last 14 years.
Absolutely brilliant. Listen, long may we continue seeing you as well at St James's Park. And just to reiterate, he is next to the away dugout. He's not near Eddie Howe. Otherwise, he'll be messaging me tomorrow going, I'm done for. Kev, enjoy the rest of your special day as well. I hope it's a very happy birthday for you. I think an ideal birthday would be the shares spoiled between your two former clubs, if I'm being honest.
Hey, it's not, because you know what? Both of the teams need the points, Pete. Nobody wants to draw. Everton have to go for it. Arsenal have to go for it. It should be a great game. And I don't want to draw because, you know what? I want one of them to be happy and one of them to be sad. I think Arsenal win it. If Everton get the points like they did last season, Pete, then fair play to them.
Okay, and all that remains is for us to thank today's guests. On the soccer sofa, Gareth Mordey, thanks for being with us. Keiron, give us a wave later when we tune in and then we see you down pitch side. Brilliant to have you with us, and we will be inviting you back onto Hollywood Falls. Thanks to you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Take care, and whoever your team is, all the best.